seen a lot of people post in a couple of the big groups, you know, those help horse thingies, about biting and about whacking their horse in the face. Did you see my post about the nail? What the fuck?
About
I don't
pressing
know.
a nail into their face. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I saw.
Either jab them with the elbow, and if
I
that
know.
doesn't work, have a nail in between your fingers and use that.
What would be your go-to if a horse is biting you?
Find out, first of all, find out why. So if we were able to find the
Yeah.
context and the history, so have they been given a lot of feed? Were they weaned too early? Have they had a lot of manipulation around the head too soon, too much, too forceful, etc.? Is it defensive or is it offensive? Are they being aggressive or are they trying to protect themselves? There's so
Or,
many,
or
yeah,
or even playful. Yeah, sorry for interrupting you. Or
or
even playful.
playful, or
Yeah.
playful, but there's so many whys when it comes to biting and nipping. Um, for example, I'll tell you, Parker was dreadful, a dreadful biter. And I know why. Obviously, he was born here, so he was raised here. And about 3 weeks in, at 3 weeks old, he got an impaction, and
Oh.
so we had to give him an enema and sort through that, and then to
Oh.
give him electrolytes because foals are really delicate and they can go downhill really quickly. I had to make sure that he had his electrolytes, and the only way to get it in him without it being a complete mess, because foals are very messy, was to hand feed him this stuff, right? From that day, he's always been really mouthy. Now, I'm not saying that he wouldn't have been mouthy if I hadn't have done that. Maybe he would have been. But
Hmm.
knowing the why gave me that compassion, empathy, information, understanding. So I wasn't correcting a bad behavior. I was trying to offer him a solution that was more acceptable within a domestic environment, because you can't have a horse that bites. One thing is a foal, even foals hurt, by the way. But one thing is a foal playing with their mouths and you're not understanding it and maybe you're not quick enough. But when they get their big teeth and they have all that pressure of the jaw, it's really, really painful. The first thing is, why is my horse nipping? Why is my horse biting? And look at ourselves and our approach, our position. So with him, first of all, I give treats, right? I'm happy to give treats, not necessarily coaching treats. I'm not talking about positive reinforcement. If I see something, a piece of grass, or I've got some alfalfa nuts or whatever, I just hand treats out because they have no relationship to a task. So they're not seeking them ever. They're only It's just a hi, how you doing? Here, have a treat. But I was very careful with him never to hand feed him. You look like you want to say something. Interrupt me.
No, 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 no. Well, I was thinking of my article, is it a treat to treat or not to treat? And what you're doing is truly treating, because is it a treat? Is it a reward? Is it a bribe, or is it a distraction? And when you use the food, and how you use the food makes a big, big difference. So I love treats. And I would say it's like flowers when it's not your birthday, it's not your anniversary, you just didn't do something
Exactly.
special, just somebody came. I was thinking of you and you're beautiful, here's some flowers or
Yeah.
whatever. That's a treat. But
Takes the
not
pressure
if
off.
I wash the dishes, I get a sorry?
It takes the pressure off the action.
Yes, absolutely. Right. So anyway, you were saying you give treats.
Mm. Oh,
So how
so
does that
but
play
with
into him
Park,
biting
but
or
with
not biting?
yeah, but with Parker, I was very keen not to give him bite with the hand. I still gave him to them, but I put them on the floor so he could always pick them up
Yeah.
off the floor.
Hmm.
Um, but I don't understand the rationale where with using pain, with using force, because then you're
Yeah.
going to be turning a potential action that was possibly playful, possibly defensive, into offensive and aggression.
Okay. Now, not many people have the privilege of the history of the horse since it was a foal. So how can we deal with it if we don't know the context? Okay, we can, with some horse savvy, we can figure out if it's playful or threatening or offensive or defensive or just a tiny message that was a tail swish before it was a bite and somebody missed it. But how do we deal with it compassionately and keeping ourselves safe if we don't know the history?
Well, then I think you have to put your investigation hat on and
Okay.
become a PI, because when it happens, how it happens, the position you're in, the space that you're occupying, the
Okay.
energy that they're giving, the energy that you're giving, everything is a
Mhm.
clue to the history of why that is turning up in that moment.
And now we have the history and we put our PI hat and the horse tries to bite us. What do we do?
Well, if you know it's going to happen, put yourself in a position where you can stay safe and guard yourself. So, for example, um, two of the horses that I've worked with um, were biters from defensive. They were protecting themselves because of their history. So, I always have not the elbow, but I have my hand. So they see the hand. And if they do go into the hand, it's going to be very unlikely to cause too much damage, right? And I can move the hand to create an energy. So be aware of your space, be aware of your distance, be aware of the length of your horse's head. When they bite, are they extending their full head, or is it a quick nip? So just be aware of your space. Have an awareness of where you are. Then engage with the mouth. I know that sounds like really counterproductive, but if it is out of insecurity or playfulness, if the horse is really young or has been weaned really early, a lot of that mouthing is an immaturity, it's an insecurity. And they
Mhm.
need that sort of interaction with the muzzle. It's not necessarily the teeth, it's the muzzle,
Mhm.
um, to be able to break that cycle. Because
Mhm.
sometimes it's a case of, I want to engage, but I have had all the horse knocked out of me from being very young or weaned too early. I don't know how to do it in a safe manner with you.
Right.
So my actions appear aggressive, appear and are frightening and can hurt, but it's not necessarily the intention behind it. The intention behind it could be engagement. It could be, I just need a little bit of security and a little safety right now. And if you see the horses in the paddocks, a lot of that nosy, mouthing, playful, kissy, or whatever you want to call it, it's as important sometimes, depending on the relationship, as the mutual grooming or the mutual standing or the mutual breathing. That sort of play, and it's a very immature action. So
Mhm.
being able to have the confidence to engage with them and
Mhm.
ensure that you're safe when you're doing it is important.
Yeah. And I think it goes back again to, as you were saying earlier, by the time the horse bites you, it's already told you 3 times or maybe five, I'm about to bite you.
Yeah.
So you need to be present. And that's the best way to stop it. Just be present and aware, as you say.
Hmm.
But now let's suppose we do have followers that might miss the moment. They're trying their best, but we missed the moment. And we thought we were watching and we thought we were doing and we thought we were in the right position. We thought we were doing everything right. And darn, the horse bit our bottom. What's the best course of action when it's already happened because we missed something?
Okay.
Ignore it.
No, well, first of all, the reaction that you have is natural and
Mm,
instinctive. So
mm-hmm,
if you shout "ow" because it's going to hurt, it's okay. Because that,
mm-hmm,
as a being, as a human being, you're as a mammal, when you feel pain, when we feel pain, we verbalize it. We say "ow," we shout "ow," right? Horses
mm-hmm.
don't. But that
Yeah.
reaction you can't beat yourself up for the reaction that you have,
Yeah.
the
Hmm.
initial reaction. The second part of that, though, is not to then use force and pain against the horse. Put yourself in a position where you can correct it in your mind first. So quickly think through what happened so that you can put the horse in its position, in its mental and emotional state, knowing that it was wrong. That could be just as simple as pausing, stopping, the power of the pause, because they're going to hear the sound that you made, which is going to probably frighten, shock them a little bit because let's face it, it hurts. And then if you just stand with them and allow them to regulate, so you regulate yourself, because by that time you're up, your nervous system's up, you've just feel pain. You've probably annoyed with yourself that you allowed it to happen. You're annoyed with the horse that the horse did caused you that pain. There's a whole lot of emotions going through it in moments like that when horses do things like that because you think, oh, you're my best friend, and now look what you've done to me. Remember, they're not doing it to you. They're doing it from a circumstantial, experiential point of view. There is a why behind why they did it. And I think then if you stop and pause in a safe space, so obviously, make sure that you're safe and just wait it out until you can regulate yourself, you can regulate them because it will become co-regulation, and then you can start the conversation again.
There you go. So to all of you listeners out there using nails and hitting your horse in the face, please don't.
No.
Please don't. Go rewind and listen to this. I mean, from standing on their, not that you're not on their side, but standing on their side, I mean, I get it. It hurts when a horse bites us. And we do. And sometimes, depending on how regulated we were before the bite, because maybe we were already, and that's why the bite even happened. It could be even depending where our level of anger, and it might be we didn't even think about it, and we go, "Oi!" and you just slap them
Yeah,
in the nose. But it isn't a conscious, and now I'm going to hit you to punish you.
that's the
It
difference.
happens. It
That's
happens.
the
And
difference.
put your hand up as if and it has happened to me. And then I feel like, oh, Monica, but it was just, ah, he scared me. But that's different to consciously and purposefully carrying a nail around in
Yeah.
between your fingers to prick
Exactly.
your horse
And
or
what you
anyone.
can't do is carry that guilt around with you. Because if you think about it,
Absolutely.
the horses are constantly correcting each other,
Mm,
not
mm,
constantly, but when they do correct each other, it's very quick. And the next minute they're grazing together or they're drinking out the
yeah.
same bucket. They
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
hold that same emotional value to the actions like we do, unless it has intention behind it, like you just said, and it becomes a conscious, now I'm going to cause you pain for doing that.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. That's true.
by the time you get to that point, there is no connection for them between the action and the reaction. Their action caused this, fine, they get that. What they don't
And
get
now,
is the follow up. They won't connect that to anything. And so all they're going to see is this person, whoever, is mean, angry, and you're going to end up with a horse that's going to be so protective of their face and become head shy and or more aggressive, turning that defensive into aggression.
so there we go. That is our Tutorial Masterclass on what to do if your horse nips you or bites you. First, figure out why. Second, if it happens, don't hit them back, please. That doesn't help. And be aware, just stay aware. We need to be aware of our horses all the time. They told you, I'm going to bite you. I'm going to bite you. You're not listening. I'm about to bite you. And then they bite you. So a tail swish, a shift of weight, a little ear pin, the nostril, all these little tiny messages. And then listen to them before they feel they're only biting you because they don't feel heard and they feel they have to go to that extent for you to pay attention to their distress. And then change that. Would you agree?
I agree. I agree.
No
Perfect.
premeditated pain. And then just to put on the end, sometimes we get it wrong and it's okay. We need to be okay with making that mistake as long as it comes from a place of good intention. And if you do go blah 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 and hit your horse in the because it was a reaction, I don't know if horses understand sorry, but you can just apologize energetically. I don't know,
I
something like that.
no, but if I do something, I will apologize verbally because, like
Mm.
I say often, the words carry the energy. If
Energy,
you
yeah. Yeah.
struggle with the energy conversation, which I get a lot of people do, use the word because the word brings the energy up with it.
Excellent. Super. Well, now comes the little music. Da, 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 da. And that was how to deal with fighting. Bye for now.
See you. Take care.